Hey guys, I'm ExxotikGaming. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about a mobile game that you may have never heard of before, but it has a very interesting history and connection to one of the most popular mobile games right now, Call of Duty Mobile. This is a lost version of Call of Duty Mobile, and I did talk about this in an older video, but I don't think that video was very good, and I wanted to expand more on the history of this game and how it evolved into Call of Duty Mobile. It's a really cool story, and I hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's do this. The game we're talking about is called Elite Squad Mobile FPS, a first-person shooter game that was developed by Tencent and released in a beta test in fall 2018. It had to have been quite a bit before October 9th, 2018, because a news article from a Brazilian website on that date talks about how this was already a canceled version of the game back then, and we had the first leaks of the official version of Call of Duty Mobile as early as October 2nd, 2018. But hey, let's take a look at this trailer. And welp, here we are. I didn't want to have to do a voiceover for the trailer. I would have rather just shown you all the original trailer with the music, because the music's actually really cool in the trailer. It gets you pumped, it gets you in the zone, ready to play this freaking game. But unfortunately, this trailer's music is copyrighted. I don't know why they decided to use copyrighted music, but we can't actually show the music in this video. So we're going to just take a very general overview look at this trailer right here. We're not going to analyze anything yet. That's going to be in a couple of minutes when we slow things down, when we zoom in, when we take a more in-depth look at certain things like the weather that you can see here in shipment and other stuff like that. But I gotta tell you, it looks absolutely fantastic. I really, really wish there was some way to play this right now in 2023. Just like have an offline version of this game or something, you know? Like you could download it from some random website like APK Pure or APK Combo for Android, just to like test it out and see what it played like. Like, did it feel the same as Call of Duty Mobile now, or did it feel entirely different? I don't really know. There's a lot of similarities that you can obviously see right here, but a lot of things look completely different. Maybe there is some way that you can play this. Maybe some person is actually going to watch this video and want to, like, recreate this APK, and if they do, hey, please let me know. That would be pretty freaking awesome to be able to try this out in the future, but at least for right now, I don't think there is any gameplay out there on YouTube. This is the only snippets of gameplay that you can see anywhere on the internet. The only place that there might be some gameplay is on some Chinese websites. That's the only place that I could see that there could potentially be some gameplay, but it's really difficult to search Chinese websites from way back in 2018. Like, it's kind of easy nowadays to search results for games in 2023, but if you look at Chinese websites from 2018, the results get very clouded and difficult to find, and it could have honestly been called something entirely different in China. But hey, there we go. That's the trailer. So yeah, getting more into this, Elite Squad Mobile FPS was launched in a beta test back in fall 2018 in selected regions such as Southeast Asia, India, and Brazil. The game supposedly featured over 30 weapons, 10 maps, 5 modes, and this is the thing that I'm really confused about because it doesn't really make that much sense, but news articles say it had a variety of characters from different franchises owned by Tencent, such as League of Legends, Honor of Kings, and even Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Obviously, there was definitely going to be some trademark issues here with the other games, so I highly doubt they were ever going to release a version like this to a larger audience. Another thing, the game was also supposed to have a Battle Royale mode that supported up to 120 players, but that never really materialized. But hey, let's analyze the trailer a little bit. First off, it basically just shows some fancy descriptions for pretty normal things, such as the types of weapons the character has, their armor, grenades, and stuff like that. But then I thought it was pretty interesting that the gun had a tactical flashlight. It blinds enemies, and I think that's pretty cool. It shows a pistol that looks really good, and then it switches to some cinematics in shipment. And dang, man, it's got dynamic weather. Are you freaking kidding me? Why the heck doesn't CoD Mobile have that now? Shipment would be so freaking cool. Well, actually, I can tell you why it doesn't. Elite Squad Mobile FPS was supposedly developed with Unreal Engine 4 and then later switched to Unity to make the game more optimized for lower-end devices. Obviously, I don't think Tencent cared that much whether their game was optimized, so they just wanted to make the game look as good as possible in the early days. And because of this, there were probably things in Elite Squad that looked better than CoD Mobile right now, 5 years later. Anyways, continuing on, we get more scenes from Kill House, and then it switches to a map selection screen that looks very different from the one that we have right now. Kill House, Shipment, Nuketown, and Crash were the available maps. There were definitely more, as we said earlier, but those were the ones that we could see. And most interesting, in my opinion, is the stamina bar that you can see at the top. This would have been devastated to Call of Duty Mobile, and I am so thankful that we don't have that now. A lot of free-to-play games back in the 2010s had this stamina bar where it would tick down each time you jumped into a match. It didn't matter if it was campaign or in multiplayer. I remember Modern Combat 5 had this back in the day, and it sucked. You could only play like 10 games, and then you'd have to wait a long time for the stamina bar to recharge. If you wanted to increase the stamina bar faster, you had to watch ads or, in some case, even pay real money, and it was just a terrible system. I am so happy that they did away with it in Call of Duty Mobile. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure Call of Duty Mobile would be dead at this point in 2023. When people get shot, it's really interesting. They explode in a bunch of dollar bills. I don't really understand why that's going on, but then they move to another screen here. It shows a bunch of different game mode options, rush training, the tutorial, domination, sniper training, and a sniper challenge. This is really interesting because we don't have some of this stuff in present-day Call of Duty Mobile. I feel like most of these things, other than domination, could have been single-player game modes, so maybe Elite Squad Mobile FPS had a lot more single-player elements to it. Maybe they were eventually even planning on releasing a campaign mode. Who really knows? Call of Duty Mobile doesn't have campaign. Maybe this version of the game would have had it. Whereas in Call of Duty Mobile, you really can only create matches against bots. Maybe in this version of the game, there were entire special game modes when you didn't want to go up against other people. Sort of like Pixel Gun 3D has its own unique game modes when you want to play single player. Rush Challenge was apparently its own unique minigame in a special map when you needed to complete the task in under 35 seconds and kill all enemies. If you did it successfully, you'd get some rewards. However, I think sniper training could have been even cooler. It could be like those popular sniper games you see on the App Store and the Google Play Store, like Sniper 3D Assassin, for instance. This is all speculation, but imagine if you had a sniper game mode like this in Call of Duty Mobile. That'd be pretty freaking cool. It then shows us some pretty beta gameplay from the map Crash, and it looks like it's in domination, and then it shows us the loading area before the match starts, when you can see all of your teammates sitting there waiting. This is really interesting because the way the characters are lined up makes it very reminiscent of another Chinese Call of Duty game that we'll talk about later that was popular years before Elite Squad, Call of Duty Online. You can see the resemblance. They obviously took some inspiration. There's just casually an entire team of soaps, no big deal, and then it proceeds to show us some classes in the game. This is also really interesting. In Call of Duty Mobile now, you don't have special classes for multiplayer matches. You can customize your character and load out however you want, but you don't just like select a sniper class or an LMG class and then run with it from there. In Elite Squad, apparently, you would just select the Rifleman class, for instance, and then just use all the pre-selected gear for that specific class. I'm not really that much of a fan of this, to be honest, because it really limits how much customization you can have in-game. And then finally, Elite Squad shows us a small snippet of its Zombies mode. Zombies clearly was an important part to this game, and it looks really cool. I'm sure it had way less content than Call of Duty Mobile now, but it had a Zombies mode nonetheless. So that's the trailer. Now let's talk about this game's history. Elite Squad Mobile FPS was essentially a mashup of different FPS games and genres, and according to people who were fortunate enough to actually have played it back then, it was quite fun and impressive for a mobile game at its time. You have to remember, games like PUBG and Rules of Survival were the reigning champs back then. However, it also faced some challenges and criticisms. Most obviously, the game was accused of being a clone or ripoff of Call of Duty, which we could clearly see from the trailer. I think Tencent wanted to create this to get Activision's attention so they would work with them, but even if they had good intentions, they obviously were still going to be criticized by die-hard Call of Duty fans. Another issue was the game was not that optimized for low-end devices, and it suffered from performance issues such as lagging, crashing, and overheating. The game also had some bugs and glitches that affected the gameplay experience, but then again, this is all stuff that you would expect in a beta version of a game. It really isn't that surprising that this game had these issues, and you can't really criticize a game that much for them. If they had these issues in a global launch, sure, you can criticize them all you want, but not in a beta version. They were just testing the waters at the moment. Despite the flaws that we mentioned above, Elite Squad Mobile FPS had a loyal fan base that enjoyed the game and supported its development. Inevitably, in time, the game also caught the attention of Activision, the publisher of Call of Duty, which I think was Tencent's intention right from the very beginning. So, here's the deal. Activision had been looking for a way to enter the mobile gaming market with its flagship franchise for a long time. It had previously released Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies for mobile devices in 2011, which was a port of the zombie mode from the console version of Call of Duty Black Ops. It also had partnered with Glue Mobile to create Call of Duty Strike Team in 2013 and Call of Duty Heroes in 2014. However, these games were not really that successful or even well received by fans or critics, so Call of Duty Mobile didn't really realize its full potential yet. Most interestingly, Activision also considered partnering up with King, the developers of Candy Crush Saga, believe it or not, on a mobile Call of Duty game, but this project never really ended up materializing. I think we had a really good chance of getting a Call of Duty Mobile made by the Candy Crush developers. They had already proved their successes with Candy Crush. They could probably do it again with a first-person shooter. The Candy Crush version of Call of Duty Mobile was announced way back in April 2017, and considering it had been over a year without much development, Activision was clearly running into some issues with King. I think Tencent created this game to get the attention of Activision and say, hey look, the Candy Crush developers can't do it, but we can, pick us instead. And Activision took the bait and eventually decided to team up with Tencent. Activision realized that it needed a more experienced and capable partner to create a true Call of Duty game for mobile devices, and that partner was Tencent. Tencent had already proven itself as a leader in mobile gaming with hits such as PUBG Mobile and Honor of Kings. It also had a long history of working with Activision on bringing Call of Duty games to China. In fact, Tencent had launched Call of Duty Online in China in 2015 as a free-to-play PC game with microtransactions. Call of Duty Online was based on various Call of Duty games such as Modern Warfare and Black Ops, and it featured a mix of multiplayer modes, a zombie mode, and even a battle royale mode called Survival Mode. Call of Duty Online was very popular and profitable in China, and it showed that there was a huge demand for Call of Duty games in the Chinese market, not just in the US, Europe, and elsewhere. So, in 2018, Activision and Tencent announced that they were working together to create Call of Duty Legends of War, a mobile version of Call of Duty Online. Call of Duty Legends of War was developed by Tencent's Teeny Studios, the same studio that made Elite Squad Mobile FPS. And this is where things get interesting. Call of Duty Legends of War was not a completely new game from scratch. It was actually based on Elite Squad Mobile FPS, and it reused many assets and features from the game. However, it also made some significant changes and improvements to make it more authentic and appealing to Call of Duty fans. For example, Call of Duty Legends of War replaced the characters from Elite Squad Mobile FPS with characters from the Call of Duty universe, such as Captain Price, Ghost, Soap, and Alex Manson. It also added more weapons, maps, modes, and features to the Call of Duty series, such as kill streaks, perks, loadouts, and customization options. It also improved the graphics, gameplay, and optimization of the game to make it more smooth and stable. Call of Duty Legends of War was launched in alpha testing in Australia in December 2018. The game received positive feedback from players and critics who praised it for high-quality graphics, gameplay variety, and faithful adaptation of the Call of Duty formula to the mobile platform. The game was later renamed as Call of Duty Mobile and released globally in October 2019. The game was a huge success, breaking records for downloads and revenue. It also won several awards, including the Best Mobile Game at the Game Awards 2019. Call of Duty Mobile is still going strong today with regular updates and new content added to the game. The game has over 500 million downloads and tens of millions of monthly active users to this day. It's one of the most popular and profitable mobile games in the world. So, that's the story of how Elite Squad Mobile FPS became Call of Duty Mobile. It's sad that the game was eventually shut down quietly by Tencent in 2018, but hey, at least we got an even better game in its place. It really is a shame no one posted any gameplay on YouTube. I can't find any, at least. I welcome you to search YouTube, see if you can find any gameplay from 2018, and let me know on Twitter, @ExxotikGaming. I'd love to make an updated video reacting to it. Elite Squad Mobile FPS is now a forgotten relic of mobile gaming history. A game that had potential but never really reached its full glory. At least, not as Elite Squad. The game isn't completely gone. It lives on in Call of Duty Mobile, as its legacy and influence can be seen in many aspects of the game. As it laid the foundations of many modern shooters, I would go as far to say that Elite Squad Mobile FPS is one of the most important FPS games in the history of mobile gaming. And that's it. Hey, I really hope you all did enjoy this video. If you did, please take a second and leave a like and subscribe for more mobile gaming content. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you all in the next episode.